I didn't know that Roger Stone, longtime Trump advisor, also hates Steve Bannon. Elon hates Steve. Roger hates Elon.
Just for the record, I like them all.
Okay. So Roger doesn't hate Elon. Roger hates Bannon. Yeah, no, right. I got no horse in this race, but I think it's interesting to watch. And here is what happened between them yesterday. Elon tweeted, "How can people be expected to have faith in Trump if he won't release the Epstein files?" Someone responded, "Will exposing the Epstein files rank high on the America Party's list?" Musk says 100%. Then Elon tweeted out, "Bannon is in the Epstein files," but didn't offer any evidence to back it up. But he was responding to tweets from Roger Stone as follows, quote, "Why would Bannon meet with Jeffrey Epstein, both at his New York home and in Paris, after Epstein was convicted on sex crimes in Florida? Why would he coach Epstein for his 60 Minutes appearance? This appears to stem from a 2021 book by Michael Wolff that Bannon helped Epstein prepare for a CBS 60 Minutes interview that never happened." And it's quoting here, I believe quoting Bannon, quote, "You're engaging, you're not threatening, you're a natural, you're friendly, you don't look at all creepy, you're a sympathetic figure," said Bannon during the early 2019 coaching and feedback session per the book. Bannon confirmed to the New York Times that he encouraged Epstein to do a 60 Minutes interview and recorded more than 15 hours of interviews with the disgraced financier. Bannon told the New York Times, however, that he never did media train anyone and was instead working on the unannounced documentary to demonstrate how Epstein's, quote, "perversions and depravity toward young women were part of a life that was systematically supported, encouraged, and rewarded by a global establishment that dined off of his money and his influence." That's kind of mind-blowing. 15 hours of tape? And Bannon today was critical. I watched his show yesterday. He was critical of the way this is being handled and was demanding more transparency. But the point is simply, this thing has tentacles that reach deep pretty much everywhere. And I don't know, Mark, whether we're ever going to have it fully figured out.
Well, it's hard to know because this administration doesn't seem on track to do it. They could reverse course. Could be another taco situation. I doubt the press will do it because some press has tried. It's hard, right? No subpoena power. I don't know that Congress is going to do it. I don't know that any prosecutor is going to do it.
Tom Fitton is saying he's going to do it.
Who?
Tom Fitton. Judicial Watch.
Yeah, Judicial Watch should try, but their main bag of tricks involves trying to get courts to do things. I think that somebody would have to, engage in a pretty thorough effort with subpoena power, ideally, to figure out what to do. But it starts with the executive branch, right? Because they've got access to all these documents, which they say aren't going to be released. So the tale will be told by whether the administration changes its posture. If the president and the Justice Department, the FBI continue to say case closed, then the ball's going to move to another court. But they're in the best position to do something about it. And as for the fights amongst people like Bannon and Stone, I've got some friends who don't like each other and pretty strongly in a couple of cases. But the president has just an enormous capacity to be friends with both Heckle and Jekyll, and the Hatfields and the McCoys, and that's just part of the colorful salon surrounding our president.
I just feel like no one's going to subpoena anyone because the Democrats probably have too many high-ranking people on their side who they're worried are in those files.
Yeah,
and clearly the Republicans may have some bodies buried there too.
Although your best friend Jamie Raskin and some other House Democrats did write to the Justice Department or the White House, I don't know which administration, joining the chorus of those saying, "Please release everything." So if they're worried about Democrats, they're not acting like they are.
Well, they don't have subpoena power right now. They're not in control.
Yeah.
So let's see what they do if and when they win back the House.
Yeah.
I do think the president's going to hear more from people. I don't think we see people standing down on this on the right. I think, the biggest mistake Pam Bondi made was dragging those influencers into the White House and humiliating them. They're keeping score. I started that clip with Jack Posobiec, who was one of them, Liz Wheeler is another. She'll be on this program tomorrow telling us the full story of what happened there. It's not as we thought. It's actually a little different, and she's going to tell. But I think they're rightfully pissed off on what was done to them. And the only way it could have been fixed was if then Pam Bondi did deliver, make good on her promise to give the Epstein files to them. And instead, they got stiff-armed just like everybody else. And I just want to make one other comment on what Tucker was saying in that clip with Sagar and Jetty on his show, on Tucker's show. My understanding on the children, the child sexual assault material, child pornography, we used to call it, is that they have tens of thousands of images on Jeffrey Epstein's computer that prove the guy was into that stuff. That he was looking at highly contrabanded materials of young children. And that is a new disclosure. And Pam Bondi had referenced it when caught on tape with James O'Keefe, and then she went to the microphones herself and said it so that she couldn't look like she was gotten by James O'Keefe. But now they're saying it more explicitly. That's what they're referring to. I have no reason to believe these are, in fact, I believe it's the opposite, that these were Jeffrey Epstein victims, in person. It was his chosen pornography. I mean, it's disgusting, but that's that. What they're saying in the memo is that there are about 1,000 Jeffrey Epstein victims, actual victims. And by that, they mean young women. Again, I've been describing them as barely legal because somebody very close to the case told me that's what he was into. Like in terms of actual physical interactions, it was the barely legal type, like the 17, 18-year-olds who looked 14. And there are over 1,000 victims like that who were brought into the Epstein mansion. And the typical MO, we've learned this throughout the cases, is they would be brought into the Epstein property, they would be funneled into some room, they would be paid, these young girls would be paid to give Jeffrey Epstein an X-rated massage. They were sort of lured, many of them being told it's just going to be a massage and you can make some extra money, and they would do it. And then it would turn X-rated. Mostly it was just these girls pleasuring Jeffrey Epstein. It wasn't like an actual sex act. Forgive me for getting graphic, but this is what the evidence has been. And so that's what they're talking about, just to distinguish. I have yet to hear anything putting a number of victims that Jeffrey or Ghislaine farmed out to other men. Now, that's not to say Megyn Kelly knows there were none. It's just I have never heard any specifics on that. I've heard the names, like the guy who owned Victoria's Secret, how he was down at Epstein Island, and I've heard a Bill Gates connection, all that everybody else has heard too. I just haven't seen the proof that shows, and this person was farmed out a young girl that participated in the trafficking of a young girl. There's Virginia Giuffre, who was definitely one of Epstein's victims and was in a photo with Prince Andrew, and Prince Andrew himself has been, just all over the board on this and clearly isn't being 100% honest. But she's also dishonest. She's passed now, so forgive me. But she was definitely lying in part about her experiences in the Epstein lair. She's the one who accused Alan Dershowitz after somebody else came to her and said, why don't you include Alan Dershowitz? That would really get you some attention. That's how he got looped in. She wound up dismissing that case, saying, I may have misremembered. Alan Dershowitz totally had disproven her allegations. He could prove he wasn't even anywhere near any of Epstein's properties on the day she said she saw him and was with him and all that stuff. So anyway, the whole thing is just such a morass, Mark, that I, as a lawyer, I just want to follow actual facts and actual evidence. And that hasn't made it all that clear to me other than what I've said. Yeah.
And I'll put some responsibility on the shoulders of the Florida prosecutors and the federal prosecutors who had subpoena power, and I wish had been clearer about what the conduct was.
Yeah. And who knows why they didn't. I mean, it could be they or somebody they knew was compromised. It could be he was an intelligence agent. That was a very weird thing of Pam Bondi's answer yesterday, which we didn't play today, but we played it yesterday, where she was like, as for your question about whether he was an agent, I haven't looked into that. I'll get back to you on that. What? This is one of the main theories about him. I mean, how do I, as a member of the press, know that? And you know it. The audience knows it. And Pam Bondi doesn't know. That was a lie. She does know. So why didn't she tell? Again, raising more questions than answers, including about the minute before midnight, which we decided yesterday is a great name for a movie about this whole thing. And we just showed the audience while you were talking that we went back and found the tape where you can see the jump cut. There's a cut. Yeah. There's a minute before midnight that was cut out of the Epstein jail cell.
Happens every night, Megyn.
So if you wanted to kill Jeffrey Epstein, you would know you had the minute before midnight. My one caution on the whole the jail cell video is, have you seen the two guards? Have you seen these two guys? Like, it's a gal and a guy.
Yeah.
They are, forgive me, but they're like obese, classic civil servant looking people in New York. Their excuse is, we were surfing the net and asleep, which is why we weren't really monitoring what was going on, which I totally believe. And the opposite requires me to believe that maybe they were in on this conspiracy. They allowed somebody to get in there. All this time, they've managed to keep their mouths shut. They haven't leaked it to anybody. I have a hard time buying it. Since President Trump was sworn in, his administration has made enormous progress at a breakneck pace. But don't forget, while they're moving mountains for the good of the nation, you've got your own personal savings to worry about. And one of the best ways to look after your savings is through diversification, particularly with gold, like from Birch Gold Group. In the past 12 months, the value of gold has increased by 40%. OMG. Central banks continue to bolster demand for gold by buying in record quantities. Global instability and tension is high, and Birch Gold makes owning physical gold extremely easy. Easily convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold, or buy some to store in your home safe. Just text MK to the number 989898, and Birch Gold will send you a free info kit on gold. There's no obligation, just useful information. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and tens of thousands of happy customers, take control of your savings today. Text MK to the number 989898. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.